I released a clip a few days ago talking about it all started from the Democrat Party. I mean, the KKK, slavery, Jim Crow, all of it started from the Democrat Party. And this thing, it just sort of blew up, which is a good thing. But there's also always the people that say, yeah, but in the 60s, they had the big switch. And I like to call it, they like to talk about is merry-go-rounds or what they, a little child's game where you have to find the missing chair and sit in it. But at any rate, they talked about like in the mid 60s when Nixon was running for office that they switched parties. So the good guys, the Republicans, switched parties with the bad guys, the Democrats, because the bad guys, the Democrats, were the one that were of the KKK, of the Ku Klux Klan, the whole 9 yards. But for some reason, the good guys, the ones whose party was started to stop slavery, decided they didn't want to be good guys no more. They wanted to be Democrats. And the Democrats decided that they wanted to be the good guys. So they talk about, it is so confusing. They like to throw out there Strom Thurmond. He was a Democrat and he became a Republican. And so they claim that because of him, the whole party switched. Well, that's a lie. And the fact of it is Democrats have been lying through their teeth for years, but people do not take the time to do the research. And if you did the research, you would understand what's going on, that it's a big lie. So we're talking about in the mid 60s, right? During the Johnson era, and I've talked about the fact that the Great Society of LBJ, the guy that said, I'm going to have these blank voting Democrats for the next 200 years. The guy that put in the welfare state, that kicked the father out of the home, the guy who his policies took black families that were at least 75% intact and reduced them to 27%. And recently I saw a stat that said 38%, but I don't know about that. But nevertheless, it destroyed the black family. But they say that the Democrats are for the people, and they say they switch sides. Well, okay, let's think about that for a second. If they switch sides, the Bible tells us in Matthew chapter 7, verses 18 and 19, a good tree cannot produce bad fruit, nor can a bad tree produce good fruit. Every tree that does not bear good fruit is cut down and thrown into the fire. So the fact of it is, if the Democrat Party, who's been in charge most of the time, you switch sides, and black folks for the last 60-something years have been following the Democrat Party. Why are black folks still at the bottom of the socioeconomic ladder? Why are black folks children going to these schools that aren't educating them, that the Democrats run? Why did the Democrat Party support Planned Parenthood, who puts all these abortion meal baby killing facilities in the black neighborhood? Why? Why, if the Democrat Party is so in love with minorities and want to take care of the citizens in this country, will they import millions of folks here? Why, they got people living on the streets in cities like LA. I've walked down LA streets and I've seen people living under cardboard boxes, those that couldn't afford a tent on the sidewalk. Why? And let's talk about the big switch in the timeline as far as who was in control. The Democrat Party was controlling the House of Representatives continuously from 1931 to 1995, except for 2 terms, 1947 to 1949 and 1953 to 1955. That's 60 years out of the 64 years. And remember, this big switch was supposed to have been in the middle 60s. The Democrats had all the power. Look at the Senate. The Democrats controlled the Senate almost exclusively from 1933 to 1981, except for a period, 1953 to 1955. For only that 2-year period, Republicans were in control. So this nonsense about they did the big switch, this nonsense about the Democrat Party all of a sudden is the good guy when they were the party of slavery, when they were the party of Jim Crow, when they still are the party that have put the people under their thumb. Right now, 71% of Democrats are for voter identification. 71%. Whereas almost like 90% of Republicans. And yet we got these leaders like Shifty Schiff and Schumer and all these folks talking about, oh, voter ID is Jim Crow number 2. They don't even pay attention to the people that vote for them. They quit paying attention to black folks a long time ago because they figured black folks had no place else to go. Well, a lot of black folks have left the Democrat Party, and a lot more will leave the Democrat Party because they know the Democrat Party doesn't care anything about them. Folks in Chicago are screaming because their property taxes are going through the roof because they brought all these illegals in, and their mayor, Brandon Johnson, is no better than Lori Lightfoot or any of these other jokers, Rahm Emanuel. Keep sucking up to the policies of the Democrat Party, which means bring in more people. And if you don't have voter identification, you don't have to worry about proving who can vote. Black people make up no more than 15% of the population. Now you think about that. If we make up 15%. So if we make up 15% of the population, that means 85% of the population isn't black. So our little area of population can be offset by 85%. The only way that you can make sure that that 15% counts is to make sure nobody else votes that is not a citizen. Well, they were making laws in New York City before they got ran out that people that live there should be able to vote. Non-citizens. You don't have a country if citizens can't control it. This is supposed to be a republic, not a democracy. This is a constitutional representative republic. The jokers that we put in office are supposed to represent us. And if Democrats need to wake up when they see that their own leaders ignore them. Oh no, voter ID is racist. How in the hell is that racist? You can't get on an airplane without ID. You can't cash a check with ID. Without ID. If you're driving down the street and the police pull you over, you better have a driver's license. And this nonsense about women can't get don't have their birth certificate or they get married. This is all a bunch of hooey. People need to quit listening to these stupid politicians saying stupid stuff, and they need to quit listening to these stupid newscasters telling lies and supporting it. Those folks are not newscasters. They're not giving you the news. They are paid propagandists. They sit up there and lie with a straight face. Remember when Trump's first term in office, when they spent about the first 2 years saying that he was under this Russia hoax, with the women, the golden showers in some Russian hotel. Remember that? And then when it finally came out, Mueller, after $40 million and 2 years, said there's nothing. Nothing. Who apologized? Did the news media apologize? No. Did any of the politicians apologize? No. They went on to impeachment 1 and impeachment 2. These people are enemies of the nation. Democrats, like I said before, are nothing more than blood-sucking grifters. They're leeches. They're enemies of the people. If they really cared about the American citizen, they would make sure that our homeless are off the street before they invited millions of illegals and give them EBT cards and cash and money and housing and all that stuff off of your dime. Like I said, these people only care about power. They're not worried about the money. If you have the power, the money will follow you. And that's what's going on with these people. They don't care. They lie. This nonsense about the big switch, all of it is garbage. You need to wake up, America. You need to wake up. You need to get rid of them Democrats. You need to get rid of all of them.